Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's BU Alumni Career Webinar, 7 Key Steps to Surviving and Thriving Through Uncertain Times. My name is Jeff Murphy. I'm a member of the BU Alumni Career Engagement Team here at the BU Alumni Association. And today's webinar is offered to our 389,000 alumni around the globe, and of course, all of our current students. And we just want to say thank you to all of you for tuning in. Again, some of you joining us from some places that are very far away from our Boston campuses. Throughout your career, BU is committed to helping you define and achieve your professional goals, and we aim to do this by providing all of you with access to a series of valuable programs, tools, and communities. In addition to this webinar series that you're taking part in, one of our key offerings is a free online community called BU Connects. You see that behind me and above me. If you haven't already signed up, I hope you'll take just 2 minutes after this presentation to log in and set up your free profile at buconnects.com. There are over 35,000 BU alumni and students and some faculty and staff who have joined the platform. It is the very best place to build your professional network with other terriers. You can also join specifically focused industry and other special interest groups on the platform. And we make it very clear, we want folks to sign up to be a mentor or be willing to help others. And we hope that you'll do all of those things, either find a mentor, be a mentor, or hopefully do both. Before I introduce today's speaker, just a couple housekeeping notes. Today's presentation is being recorded and will soon be made available for on-demand viewing on the BU Alumni and Friends website, which you can find at www.bu.edu/alumni. Our speaker today is very eager to answer any and all questions that you have, and you're welcome to submit them throughout the presentation. Similar to what we did in the chat, you can just go ahead and put your questions in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that. But we also have a Q&A function here in Zoom, where if you click on Q&A, just go ahead and type your question in at any time, and we're going to save some time at the end to make sure we get through all of those. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day, BU College of Arts and Sciences alum, Kathy Caprino. Kathy is an international career and leadership coach, writer, speaker, and executive trainer, helping professionals rise, thrive, and reach their highest, most rewarding potential. A former corporate VP, Kathy's a trained therapist, a seasoned executive coach, a senior Forbes contributor, a LinkedIn top voice, a frequent media source on career issues, and the author of 2 books, including her latest, The Most Powerful You, 7 Bravery-Boosting Paths to Career Bliss. With her top-ranked Finding Brave podcast, books, assessments, coaching programs, courses, and other key resources, Kathy's been ranked a top 10 career coach and leadership voice in the US and abroad. For more information, please go to her website at kathycaprino.com. There's also her podcast, findingbrave.org. And you can follow Kathy on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I have to tell you, I've been doing this for a long time, folks. Kathy is the real deal. She is an exceptional professional and thought leader in this space. And so, Kathy, we're so glad to have you here today. I'm going to go ahead. I know you've got a slide deck prepared to accompany your remarks. Why don't you go ahead and throw that up?
First of all, thank you, Jeff, for having me. What a joy to be with you. And hi, everybody. I'm thrilled. BU, I was there 1982. I graduated. Holy crow. That seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? Okay, everybody. You seeing it, Jeff?
Looks great.
All right, here we go. We've got a lot to cover. I'm so grateful that you're here. We're talking about the 7 key steps to surviving and thriving through uncertain times. This is, as Jeff said, going to be a very info-rich session. So I want you to know, thank goodness it's being recorded, so you don't have to necessarily take copious notes. But if you do have questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to hear what you got out of this and any remaining questions you have. So what we're going to cover generally, but we're going to really go into depth, and we're going to save about 15 minutes for your questions. I love that part. We are going to be talking about how to reframe what change and uncertainty represent in your life and career. Practical steps to strengthen your resilience, your clarity, energy, and confidence. How to recognize what my research has found are the 7 most damaging power and confidence gaps that keep people from thriving in their life and career. And you're going to hear me talking about Well, I'll just say it right here. You're a person when you show up to your career. They're inextricably linked. So, a lot of what we're going to be talking about here is personal growth activity that's actually going to shift and change both your personal life and professional life. And we are going to talk about how using change as a catalyst to connect with your most exciting version of yourself. That's how we make the most of change rather than breaking ourselves against it or being in constant fear of change. So that's generally what we're going to be talking about. Now, Jeff, we have a poll, I think, to start, don't we? We have a question for you to start off the program.
Should see
Here
that
we
now,
go.
Kathy. Can you see it
There
on
it
your
is.
screen?
I
Okay.
can. Thank you.
You
I'm going
never
to
know
read.
with Zoom, right?
I know, and it could be over here in the corner. I have it right there. And the question is, on a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is low and 5 is high, how would you rate your current level of resilience and confidence in handling unexpected changes in your life and your career? I'm going to answer it honestly. Now, we're looking for honesty. Nobody's going to see your actual answers, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm not able to click on it, but maybe that's because I'm a speaker. Is that possible?
Yeah, well, the answers are
Yeah.
still coming in, but let's go
Oh, good.
ahead and I'll share those with you now.
Oh,
Can you see them?
wonderful. Okay, we're seeing number 3 is the most at this point. We've got a 1. Mm-hmm.
I think
Okay.
3 is where I would have landed myself. So
Okay. I mean, some days I'm a 3, some days I'm a 1, but I would say typically I'm a 4, and that's a good thing since I'm teaching this, right? But yes, this is what I would expect, frankly. And I think that it certainly depends on the kind of change you're facing in your life. If it's something that makes you very scared for the future of your career, that this number is going to be lower. Thank you for sharing that. All right, off we go. So, I want to frame why I'm here talking to you about this so you can understand the context of where this material comes from. And I will say, having worked for 40 plus years and having been a market researcher and a marketing person, et cetera, I don't believe in making stuff up. Everything I'm sharing is based on qualitative or quantitative research or data or information from working with thousands of people. So, how have I generated this content, or where is this coming from? So I would say this: about 6 years ago, I said to myself, I need to really wrap my head around what are the key issues people are coming for career and leadership and personal growth coaching. What is going on here? And this is what I would say are the most common challenges people come for help about. And if you want to, in the chat, Jeff, if it's okay, if I say something and you say, oh no, that's me, or oh yes, that's me, maybe a thumbs up or a smiley face or something that tells us that, okay, we're on the right track here. I also love to ask people, if they wouldn't mind, to put in the chat, what is the biggest challenge you have that you're hoping I'm going to be talking about? That's helpful to me because then I'm going to know I'm on track with what you want. But here it is. People come for help for these key reasons. Basically, they feel unable to work and lead, connect, communicate, and actually be in the way they wish to be. What does that mean? It means it looks like these things. I don't feel recognized. I don't feel valued. I don't feel safe. Or they're longing for something more different and better. And often they don't know what that is. They just know this isn't it. Or they're not advancing and growing or receiving the compensation and the benefits and the treatment that they want. Or they're not doing work that feels right or good or purposeful. There's too much struggle or uncertainty or conflict. And especially in these ever-changing, fast evolving times, a lot of fear has emerged. And that can be very difficult to live with and cope with. Or they want more leadership strength and presence and positive impact. And I have just added this bullet. They feel their opportunities or the paths they felt were secure or are being threatened. So if any of that speaks to you and you want to do a thumbs up, I'd love to hear. But overall, people are coming for help and they're coming to webinars and courses and programs of mine because they don't feel able to shape and attain the success that they want. Does anybody resonate with that? Love to hear. So then about 6 years ago, I said, okay, what's happening that, so again, I've worked with over 20,000 people in some way one-on-one, but many more in terms of who's showing up for programs and webinars. I said to myself, what's going on? What is missing in the lives of men and women coming to me for help that they're saying, this is what I need most. And I'm saying often the very same things over and over and over. So no matter where they're calling from, no matter what level, socioeconomic level, education level, field, industry, title, they're bringing the same challenges. How is this possible? I asked myself. So I said, okay, what is missing? And I started analyzing the data. It's now three things. It used to be two when I wrote my book, The Most Powerful You, 5 years ago. The first is they're missing the bravery to recognize and face head on what is not working and take accountability to change it. But that's not enough, I find. What we need also is positive power. And it's fascinating because a lot of people shun that. They say they don't want power because they think it's abusive or cruel or aggressive. I'm not talking about that kind of power. I'm talking about the power to act with influence and positive impact on your own behalf and to advocate for others as well and become the true author of your life, to become an energetic match. And we'll talk about what does she mean by that in a minute. And finally, I feel like we need this now more than ever: trust. Trust that what is happening to us that we didn't expect and maybe we didn't even want can potentially lead to our own growth. This is something that I feel that the more we can embrace this trust that while this looks scary and this looks like nothing I expected, it can potentially lead to our growth and our happiness and our fulfillment. But back to the issue of power, and I have to move something so I can see my slides. There we go. Internal strength. And I call it self-efficacy, that you are effective in managing your life. We need this. We need self-trust and self-belief in our ability to shape our own reality, right? And it's an essential component to addressing change and uncertainty. So what we need here is internal strength and self-awareness and confidence. And again, what that means is it's the power to do things, not the power over people. I'm not talking about that thumb over people. It's the ability to accomplish and create and manifest. It's the strength to become a force for good, which we need today more than ever. The world needs your talents and your abilities. It's aligned energy. And again, this is a new concept I've inserted in my webinars. I'm going to explain it to you in a minute. We need self-trust to believe in and share our own ideas and visions. And we need to be able to connect with people and ideas that excite us. So we have to remember that the power I'm talking about and the strength I'm talking about does not have to be, and in fact isn't, harsh, critical, aggressive, hurtful, and inflexible. So why is this woman talking about all of this stuff? I want to tell you what happens and what it feels like when we are more confident and more assured, especially in these very difficult times for many people. It means you're engaging in more meaningful and rewarding work. It means you're leveraging and leading from your values, not someone else's values. And you're leveraging your natural talents and abilities, not those skills that are hard to use that you happen to have, but those natural gifts you have. It means you're building heart-connected relationships where you can be yourself, not someone who is not who you really are. It's releasing imposter syndrome. So many women I work with and some men feel like they got where they are by luck, not by what they've done, not by their own skills and talents. And when we have that, we live in pretty much constant fear we'll be found out. It means connecting with the vision of what you truly want in your future. And finally, it's about looking for new opportunities and pathways for greater joy and meaning. A lot of us have to work, and money is important. I'm not ever saying that it isn't. But I am saying that the happiest people I know find great meaning and purpose in the work they do that pays them well. They're being of use in a way that feels joyful and impactful. And I think that's where most people want to be. Okay, so that's a little bit of an upfront for you about where this material comes from. So the name of this is the 7 steps to thriving, right? Through change and uncertainty. And here are the 7 steps. And what I'd like to do is give you a little more content that's going to help you understand what has to shift for us to thrive at the highest level. And then we're going to walk through these 7 steps, and I'm going to give you some specific strategies. We only have an hour, so I'm going to go fast. But the 7 steps are: number 1, acknowledge and process your emotions. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you why we have to do all of these things. But number 2, reframe, and I'm going to give you a definition of that in a minute, and see your challenges not as how they might feel in the moment, crushingly anxiety producing, but what is the opportunity that I may not have even seen possible without this change that was thrusted upon me. And I'm going to give you some real life examples with my life and my clients. Number 3, reconnect with your core values and excitement. Even if it's a scary time, there's something that can give you excitement that you could do today. Number 4, expand your inspiration network. We need people in our corner. And a lot of us isolate in scary times, but you can't do what you dream to do without people in your corner. Number 5, invest in your own growth. I don't mean it has to be thousands of dollars. It can be listening to a podcast or diving in this summer to all the webinars Jeff has produced that are available online. But we do need to invest in our growth rather than stagnate. Number 6, focus on what you can shape, not what is outside your control. We can't shape that. So we have to understand, what can I shape and what can I do today and every day? And finally, embrace flexibility, staying open and not overly attaching to an outcome. I'm going to get through all of that. But first, I want to just give you a framework that I hope will be very helpful. And I do have a survey, and there's some resources on the slide at the end of the deck that I think Jeff, everyone's going to get a copy of the deck, right? And if it's a PDF, they can click on that link. So there is a Power Gap survey that you can take to see if you have any of what I'm about to share. But for about 6 or 7 years now, I've focused intently on understanding, where do people lack power and confidence? In exactly what ways? How are these damaging power gaps keeping them from reaching their highest and most thrilling goals and visions and potential? So I'm going to fly through those. But the truth is, if we're not focusing on closing these gaps where we have them, these 7 steps to thriving, surviving and thriving through change are going to be a lot more difficult. So what I'm sharing with you here hopefully will open your eyes to, I think I maybe have 1 or 2 of these. And I can tell you this, in the survey I've done, it's about 1,800 people now. 98% of the women surveyed and 90% of men are experiencing at least one of these 7 gaps, and 75% have 3 or more. And I can tell you with deep certainty, if you have 3 or more of these gaps, you're not going to feel like you're thriving. You're not going to be able to attain and create and experience what you want to, because these gaps hurt us. The one gap that's rated most pressing by people is gap number 6, losing sight of the thrilling dream I had for my career. And, I have a big thing going on LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn top voice. I adore LinkedIn. 1.1 billion people are on it. If you're not on it and you're in a professional capacity, it's time to get on it and not hide. because, wow, it really does stretch us to build our personal brand there. I do a lot of polls on LinkedIn, and they get thousands and thousands of views. I did one recently asking about, do you wish you had more confidence? Yes, no, maybe. And 56% said, yes, I wish I had more confidence. That's a lot. All right. So here are these gaps. And again, if you have them, I have resources galore that are going to help you walk through closing these gaps. Here they are. Number one, not recognizing your special talents, abilities, and achievements. Now, let me explain the numbers. T equals the total number of survey participants that say they have yes or maybe to the gap. If you say maybe, you have it. How do I know that? Because I work with a lot of people that say maybe, and I have one conversation with them, pardon me, and they have it. Not recognizing your special talents, abilities, and achievements, 63% of the total. The why means it looked at the group of younger folks who are 18 to 24. And it makes sense that the younger demographic would have some of these gaps in a bigger way, but 83%. Number two is communicating from fear, not strength. I have to move my stuff here. 70% are communicating from fear, not strength, in their lives and in their careers. Number three is reluctance to ask for what you want and deserve. 77%. And the younger group is 85%. Number four is isolating from influential support, meaning I don't have mentors, I don't have sponsors, and sponsors are mentors who have clout and influence that can open doors for you that you can't on your own. Look at these numbers, 71%, and the younger group, 83%. Now, we can understand why that is. If you're just starting out, it's a little intimidating to start building mentors, but we need to. Number five is acquiescing instead of saying stop to mistreatment and unfair behavior. The number of the total is 48%. I believe it's more than that, but we don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit we're not doing anything about mistreatment. But 57% of the younger group are feeling this. Number six is losing sight of your thrilling dream for your life and career. I can't even say that number. It's a staggering number. 76% said they've lost sight of what they thought they were going to be and do. Does anybody resonate with this? Please, thumbs up if so. And finally, number seven is allowing the past to continue to shape and define you. Now, the ironic thing about this is we don't really know when the past is continuing to shape us. It really takes maybe someone in your life, a coach, a therapist, a friend, to hold up a mirror to us and say, you know, that problem seems to follow you wherever you go. I want you to know I have had all of these gaps. Everything I'm sharing, I have lived in some way and overcome. But one of my dear friends once said to me many years ago when I was in my corporate life, how come every job you have, you say that the boss is really difficult? And then she said, you know, maybe you'd want some therapy over that. And I was so hurt. It was before I became a therapist, before I understood that what you see happening in your life over and over is not random. It's co-created or sustained or attracted. It doesn't mean you deserve it. It means something's going on that this keeps happening in your life. And I was so hurt, but she was so right. And I started going to therapy, and it was the best thing that ever happened. And then I became one, and then coaching. So I'd like you to think about just even looking at the descriptions here. If you don't mind sharing, and if it's private, I get it, don't. Write the number of the gap. Oh, maybe I have number one, number three, and number six that you might feel that you have. That would be helpful. So finally, before we get into these 7 steps, a lot of people, thank you. Thank you for your honesty there. I love it. I love the self-awareness. A lot of people say, why am I so stuck? I've read 50 books. I've taken a lot of webinars. I've taken a new class. I've gotten leadership coaching. Why am I not moving forward? And I finally figured out what I believe the reason is. And it's this: insight alone does not change our lives, typically. It's action, but not just any kind of action. It's action that has aligned energy, positive, hopeful, excited energy, not blaming energy, not defeated energy, right? But it's action that is unlike anything you've taken before. And what does that mean? It means it's going to stretch you. It means you're going to be afraid to do it. It means it's calling on you to become more than you really are in reality. It's that kind of action. So what I'm hoping is this webinar is going to give you at least one action step that you can say, I think I can do it. I think I'm going to be a little scared to do it, but I'm going to do it. That's my goal here. Okay? All right. So the framework for closing these gaps, or flying through it, is this. I call them the 7 bravery boosting paths to career bliss. It's brave sight, which means I am going to start seeing myself more bravely. I'm going to see what my talents are, and I'm going to recognize them, and I'm going to believe in them, and I'm going to leverage them. Brave speak. I'm going to stop communicating, over apologizing, or being afraid to share my ideas. And if you are afraid, there's reasons for it. Typically, it's how we were raised. You are what your childhood taught you to be, unless you've unlearned it. But today, you can start by speaking a bit more confidently, a bit more powerfully. Brave ask. I want you to think about, what's the thing I need and want most today? And who do I need to talk to about it? And there's ways to do it. We want to build a case. If we're looking for a promotion, we don't just go in and say, I think I want a promotion. You have to build a case for it. And again, you can find all this in my book, The Most Powerful You, and I'm giving a course starting tomorrow, mostpowerfulyou.com. You can check it out there. Brave connection. Again, most of the goals that we have and the dreams, you just can't do on your own. So are you connected with people? And I'm going to give you some action steps to do that, with people who can help you expand your sphere and your confidence, and who can see you. Jeff and I just had I'm looking at you, Jeff, an intro talk before this, and he said something so kind that I really took in. And when people tell you things about how they perceive your work, and you really do need to take not the terrible things, not the things that people are jealous of and they're slapping you down, but when someone really says how you have impacted them, you want to take that in. You want to ask for recommendations on LinkedIn and read those words, because what the people in your community, in your tribe, they can truly uplift you and make things possible for you that are not possible. Brave challenge. Is there something going on in your life? Is there treatment, unfair behavior, discrimination, bias, that something needs to happen here? We need to challenge it. That doesn't mean you race to tell your boss if your boss is the problem. Doesn't mean you race to tell HR if HR is the problem, but we need to do something. Finally, the last 2, brave service. A lot of people say, I've lost the dream. You can reclaim that a lot more easily than you think. And that's by taking one step. You don't have to chuck your whole career. It's taking one tiny step. Maybe it's reclaiming that hobby. I'm a singer on the side. I sing a lot of places, been on 2 European tours with my singing group. I'm a tennis player. Without these things, I'm not a whole person. So I want you to think about, you don't have to chuck your whole career this minute. What can you do? A small thing. It's take a dance class, right? Or take that writing workshop because you have a book inside you that you're scared to do. What can you do that's going to expand your ability to be of service in the world? And finally, brave healing. It is time, if all of this seems daunting, or for instance, how I was raised in childhood, I cannot speak up. I was taught not to. Or there was emotional manipulation or some narcissism. It's time to immerse yourself in some healing so that you can grow beyond what those shaping influences have done. I know you're going to have questions on that. Please definitely put them in the Q&A and we'll get to them. Okay? And now we are at the core of the program, 7 key steps to thriving through uncertain times. Let's do it. All right, step number 1. It is so critical to acknowledge and process your emotions. What do I even mean by that? I have had clients recently tell me on my courses and in one-on-one, if I say to them, they tell me something and I say, well, how do you feel about that? What does that mean to you? Or how are you processing that? Several people have said, I don't even know how to answer that question. And I said, what? Tell me more. And they'll say, for instance, in my family, we never talked about emotions. We weren't allowed to. Well, I will tell you this. If you're not in touch with how you feel in your body even, like I noticed early on in my journey of being a therapist, if I was getting mad at someone, my heart would start to beat a mile a minute. That's how I knew I'm getting angry. But I wouldn't know I was angry until I had that physiological response. The heart was beating because I really wanted to say something that I was afraid to say. So I am going to ask you to understand your emotions aren't your enemy. You have to embrace them and recognize them fully and understand what your emotions are saying to you before you can move through them. And you want to use them as a guide. So let me explain. Emotions are signals for what you are believing, right? So if you're feeling fear or grief or confusion, rather than suppressing them, it's really important to say, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? And also, what are the beliefs, or what's the one belief that is contributing to this emotion? So let's bring it up. A lot of people I know have been fired or laid off in ways that they never expected. And that makes them so afraid and so worried about everything we would worry about. Where's the money going to come from? How am I going to feed my family? What happened? I'm right out of college, but I was going to be in a research doctorate program and the funding has disappeared. Of course you're going to feel fear and uncertainty. And you're going to feel a lot of emotions. But what I'm asking you to do here is don't leave it there. I'm asking you to think, what are the beliefs I have that are contributing to these emotions? Like, I'm going to go broke. Like, I'll never work again. Like, there will never be any jobs available for me. Now, once you unearth that, then you have to look at, is that belief reasonable or is it catastrophic or anywhere in between? So a lot of people say, I don't even think I can get right to the belief. And that's why there's a lot of tools that you can use, like journaling. There are people in my life with one family member, she journals faithfully every single day and always has, even right through being a young child. And it helps her process the day. It helps her process her feelings. It helps be that mirror she needs to be, because if they're all just rolling around here, it's really hard to have perspective. Sometimes we need therapeutic help, for sure. I know I did. I had 3 years of being in therapy before I became a therapist, and that was a good thing. Coaching or mentoring, if you don't want to engage in a traditional coaching program, you can find a mentor. A lot of people say, well, how do we do that? If you have a question, I'm happy to answer that. Or a trusted conversation with a friend or a family member who sees the real you. All of these things can help us move through emotions instead of being paralyzed by them. And, I will say this, being compassionate for yourself, like, I'm really scared about this. This is not about making you wrong. This is not doubling down. Come on, snap out of it. It's allowing you to say, I am scared, and I'm going to have compassion and empathy for myself. I'm not going to say this is failure. This is what being human is. And sadly, we're not taught this stuff. We're not taught. Why aren't we taught this as much as biology? That we need to understand ourselves and trust that, all right, there's a reason I'm feeling this, and let me understand what it is. So your struggle doesn't mean that you're failing. I mean, millions of people are struggling today. You're in very good company. And I will tell you, having been through a lot of struggle, like in some ways I can really relate to what people are going through. 18-year corporate career, again, successful on the outside, in the end, not successful on the inside at all. Sexual harassment, gender bias, toxic colleagues, narcissistic bosses, chronic illness, zero work-life balance. Really hard. But I was promised the moon in this job. And one senior person said, we were looking for a new home. And he said, buy the biggest home you can. You have a long career here. 1 month after moving into that home was 9/11. And 1 month after, I was laid off in a way that it's very similar to what people are experiencing. I didn't see it coming, ever. So, and that's just one of many struggles. So I have lived what I'm talking about here and what many are dealing with. And I will say that's why I wrote my book, Breakdown Breakthrough. That situation, which led to breakdown, opened the door to breakthrough. So I have lived this. I hope this is inspiring to you. And if you have questions, put them in the chat, no, or the Q&A. Step number 2 is reframe the challenge as an opportunity. I want to tell you what a reframe is. It is such a helpful strategy. I learned it in my therapy training. So a reframe is a way to tell the story of what's happening so that it fits the facts equally well. So you're not lying, never lie, never embellish, because it makes us weaker. When we lie, what it tells the universe and others is, I'm afraid of being who I really am, because if I am, it's going to go badly. That's not a empowered position. So we don't want to lie. We never want to lie on our resume. Never want to lie on LinkedIn, because you're really broadcasting. It is going to come back to haunt you, because it's a dirty little secret you're telling there. But a reframe is telling the accurate story with facts, factually, but you're telling it in a way that allows for more expansion and positivity. So I'll give you an example. I've had clients say to me, what is happening that I have gone on 10 interviews, 10 different companies. I've gotten to the final round each time, and I never get the offer. And I say, what do you think it means? And they say, I'm a loser. I don't have it. So I always ask this question, hang on, do you want these jobs? And 9 out of 10 times they say, no. So I say, you're not a loser. Your energetic system, your energy system, is getting exactly what you want. You don't want these jobs. And everything is energy, everything. You can't not communicate. So whether you know it or not, and whether the hiring manager is even consciously aware of it, there's energy being exchanged. You don't want the jobs. So you're absolutely not a loser. And you can tell that because you've gotten to the final level 10 times. So what you want to do is shift your perspective. So look at today's times. You're on this call, so probably times are very uncertain for you. What if this disruption right now that you're experiencing could be a pathway to something more aligned and expansive for you? Ask this question, what can I learn from this? What new ideas are opening up? So I'm aware of our time and I have to go fast, but I want to give you a real life story about this. My work, I've had a lens on helping professional women, but I've always worked with men. 30% of my clients right now are men. But the lens has been, since I went through so much hard stuff as a woman, it used to be, if I can help one woman a day, it's a good day. But I feel the same way about helping men. That said, a lot of my work in the past has been sponsored by diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. HR teams bringing me in to speak and train their female leaders or their emerging leaders. Now, I want to say this is not getting political. I will not get political here. That said, I do believe in diversity, equity, inclusion as a value system. I believe, and I've seen it, that it can help many, many people, underrepresented voices, etc. So I believe in it. Well, come January, as we know, funding for DEI evaporated, and DEI, there was backlash against it. Well, some of my speaking work evaporated. And I will tell you honestly, I remember the day it happened. I remember the conversation I had where I felt traumatized by what someone said to me. I remember the time and the place, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. But thankfully, I know about these strategies. And I went down a rabbit hole for a few weeks of feeling so scared. What am I going to do? How is this going to impact me? But I've taken these steps, and I asked myself, wait a minute, what doors can this open for me that I wasn't going to open myself? And there are so many. For instance, I'm speaking and training more men than I ever have. Number two, there's millions of people that need coaching help. Just because that piece of my business disappeared doesn't mean I can't help thousands of people in a different way. Do you see how that's the reframe? And thirdly, I am going to say I am a career and leadership coach, but really what I'm doing is personal growth work. So I'm coming forward. I changed my LinkedIn title. I'm saying, okay, let's bring that forward. And when I look at why I hadn't in the past, I'm being very transparent. There were reasons for that I'm ready to get over. So I'm hoping that's clear, that even the most catastrophic thing, and I don't mean, losing a child or whatever, these strategies are going to be hard when we're in deep, deep, deep trauma. I am saying when it's around your career, when things have happened in your life that you did not expect and did not want, I'm asking you to reframe it. What could be happening that I could have a breakthrough over this? This probably is one of the most important slides in this. I do have a free career path assessment. You can download it, 13 pages of questions I wish someone had asked me 40 years ago. And if I had answered these questions, I don't think I would have made some of the mistakes I made for years. So you can just download that. So how can you reframe it? Again, here's what I've found. The actual circumstances right in front of you are less impactful than your energy and your belief system around them, right? If you think this change is catastrophic, I'll never work again, look what that's going to do to how you're showing up, how you're even looking for jobs, how you're talking about yourself. So I'm truly telling you something really important here. It's what you're thinking about the circumstance and how you're interpreting it that is going to make or break what's possible for you. So, what could be possible if you believe more fully in positive outcomes? I'm going to leave you with Ask Your Mod Squad. I'm going to tease you with this. I interviewed an amazing top stress management expert, Jordan Friedman, on my podcast, which is coming out tomorrow. There's the link. It's not ready till tomorrow. What Jordan shares is so helpful about asking your mod squad, and you can ask me what that is later, but it's basically getting other people's perspectives about what you're facing. Like me saying to my client, did you want those jobs? And when the people said no, they realized what was going on. That's how we get a reframe often, that other people can share that with us. Number 3, reconnect with your core values and visions. So look at this thing that's happening to you right now, or this situation, or this shift. I want you to ask yourself today, if you can, or the weekend, turn off all your devices, get a pad and paper in front of you, spend about a half hour thinking about these questions, these issues. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me now? What do I value most that maybe I had turned my back on for these 10 years in this career or this role or this field? I'm hearing from a lot of people who are taking this time to say, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a financial consultant. Look what that the shift has, the change in circumstances letting them think about. So what kind of impact do you want to make going forward? Let this time of what seems to be a maelstrom of change let you consciously redefine what success really is. And success, that word is just supercharged. A lot of people just think it means money. It doesn't just mean money. I work with a lot of people, many of whom have a lot of money, and they're just as unhappy as people who don't in many cases because they're on the wrong path. So a lot of people think having all the money in the world in the bank is the answer. Yeah, well, I'm working with some of those, and it isn't. They're still looking for meaning and purpose and how can I contribute? And why am I still getting mistreated? And why do I have so many narcissists in my life that don't value me? Right? So I hope you will look at success above and beyond what it means financially. Okay? How can this challenge that you're dealing with help you find more purpose and impact? Number 4 is expand your inspiration network. This is another big slide. You know, just even doing these webinars with Jeff. Jeff is part of my inspiration network. You want to connect with people who energize and inspire you by how they're showing up, by how they're behaving. And you can do this with people even outside your usual circles. So, again, I'm going to talk about LinkedIn. If you're not on it, or if you're hiding, I often say, I'm on LinkedIn so often and I hear from so many people and look at their profiles. I can see in about 3 minutes more about your career and how you're showing up to your career than you can see because it's an embodiment of you in your career. Right? Now, some people are in fields where they can't really share an awful lot, CIA, et cetera. I get that. But I want to tell you that if you want an inspiration network, start with LinkedIn. I call it the great cocktail party in the sky. Imagine that you could walk into a room with 500 people who are the most inspirational, doing the most incredible things that you resonate with, and you can walk up to them and talk to them. That's what LinkedIn is. So what I would want you to do is start following, at the bottom of the profile, it says, follow these top voices, these groups, schools, organizations, newsletters. Start doing it. Start being a part of the conversation. And at first you can just hang back and watch and listen. I don't know what I'm doing here. What am I? But then hopefully if you're following these steps, you'll say, I have something to share here. Wait, I'm not sure I agree with that, but I'm going to say that respectfully, but I'm going to add another perspective. I do that a lot with what people share on LinkedIn. I'll repost it. I'll say what I love about it, but I'll say, here's my take. So community opens up possibility, including support, new ideas, new opportunities, and it often comes from really unexpected places. Sometimes, if I'll hear from someone who is a connection of someone of mine, so they're following me and they'll repost something and I didn't even know they were following my work, and what they say is so beautiful. So I know it requires vulnerability. I know that. And it also requires, if you're going to do this well, that you don't reach out with your hand out. So many folks I see simply reach out and they, let's say, want a new job, and they reach out to the hiring manager who they don't know and say, hi, I'm looking for work and I would be interested in working for your company. That isn't how you do it. What you want to be is of mutual benefit. You want to be of value first. So repost something that they've shared. And I don't mean to do it just because, oh gosh, I have to do it. Do it because you want to do it, because what they're saying is inspiring. Do it, repost it, tag it, and then share your thought leadership. You'll get followers and you'll start curating incredible content because it's coming from your authentic self. So start building a community. I'm talking about LinkedIn because that's right there on your device. And I will say resonance attracts the right connections, meaning come from an energy of, I would love this to be mutually beneficial. I'm not coming with my hand out. One of my clients said, I've reached out and this person, let's call him Sam, is desperate to find a particular job. And so is reaching out with only that in mind. And it pushes people away because they feel like you're coming with your hand out. I hope that's helpful. Write a question if you need help on that. Number 5 is invest in your own growth. We talked about that for a minute. But in uncertain times, and truthfully, when we're afraid and scared, sometimes we turn into ourselves. And it's really hard to invest in our own growth. And I don't mean just financially, I mean with a little bit of time or with free resources, LinkedIn Learning. Again, these webinars. Follow people on LinkedIn or on Substack or wherever you're finding them. Where, wow, I'm following some new newsletters that are so beautiful. Susan Cain, Maria Shriver, they really resonate with me, and every day they give me something that I needed in that moment. So follow the breadcrumbs of curiosity and excitement to the farthest degree you can. Go for it. Okay, you can't afford investing, 1,000. Totally get that, but there's a lot of amazing free resources. Or maybe it's a certification. Maybe it's going to be you're going to take that course you always wanted to take, right? But when you do it, don't overly attach to a specific outcome. Like I'm only going to reach out and to get a job. And if the person isn't giving me a job, that was a waste. Another client of mine said, I've done all this and it's been completely unproductive. If you've done all that I'm seeing and it's unproductive, you're not looking for where it's productive. You're just being negative. And you're saying the only thing that is going to be positive is you getting that job that you think you want, when in fact, I think you don't even want that or you're not ready for that job. Okay? All right, number 6, focus on what you can shape and control. I can tell you this, that if we focus on external chaos, and that's what we're looking at, yet we have no ability to shape it, impact it, or control it, it is going to make us feel like we're in a constant maelstrom swirl. Before there were so many changes in our country, and I know some of you are from other countries, and there's a lot of stuff going on in other countries too. A few clients, new people would come to me and say, I'm in the swirl. And I love that because don't we know exactly what that means? It means I don't know what to do. I'm paralyzed. I'm in a tornado of doubt, confusion, and fear. Anybody feel like that? Put a little thumbs up if you do. We need you out of the swirl. And the only way you get out of the swirl is to take action. But not only that, it's to shift this frantic energy. So, there's a lot of ways you can do that. I'm not a traditional meditator, but yet I meditate in my own way. And one of the ways I do it is every day that I can walk outside, any day that it's not torrential raining or another weather event, I am walking for at least 45 minutes to an hour, listening to the music that enlivens me on the water. Water, I live in Connecticut, so I can do that. Water to me is the most peaceful and calming. And I've read that the reason when we stand at an ocean, there's something so grounding in that. It's because we realize how small we really are. And in some ways, that releases us from seeing everything is so huge, right? We're just one of many, 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 many. So my question to you is, where is your happy place? Where is your relaxing place? I spent some time at a horse rescue, volunteering at a horse rescue farm. I have to get back there. Just being with the horses, horses are one of the most sensitive creatures. You have to be calmer for the horse to want to engage with you. If you're a nervous wreck, sometimes literally they just look away like, nope. So think about what is helpful to you. Is it nature? Is it breath work? Is it singing? I sing, as I said. Just singing changes everything because you're breathing deeply. It's diaphragmatic. I'm asking you to embrace some new steps that can get you in contact with yourself, your deepest self. And empowerment grows when you choose to act, even in the smallest ways, towards taking control of what you can shape and control. Okay, we're at number 7. I know, we're flying through. Number 7 is embrace flexibility and stay open to possibilities. So, what does it mean? It means that, just what we've said, growth often lies outside of what you know. So if you can let go of, this is a secure path. I mean, I realized that 20 years ago when I was laid off. This is my belief. Nothing is secure outside of yourself. What is secure is what you hold inside. Your talents, your skills, your beliefs, your compassion, empathy, love, understanding. That's what's secure, right? So say yes to exploring options that maybe you never even thought about. New industries, new roles, new ways of working, new relationships. Okay, I'll get on LinkedIn, or maybe I'll start on Instagram and do a video, or TikTok, whatever calls to you. Try it. Put your toe in the water and talk to folks you trust and new connections to explore what's possible. There's 2 amazing questions to ask when you're reaching out for a little help. You ask them to talk about their trajectory, because you can always learn from another person about their journey. Then you share a little bit about what you're going through and what you want. And there's 2 questions you want to ask. Do you have any ideas for me? Not, do you have a job? Do you have any ideas for me? That allows them to be as expansive as possible. They're going to give you ideas. And number 2, do you know of anyone who would be helpful? Anyone else who would be helpful to speak with? If you can have those kinds of conversations, I promise you, things will move forward in ways that you're going to be so thrilled with that you never would have imagined. But don't have an insistence on the outcome, like it's unproductive if the person isn't giving me a job. That's too limiting. I want to leave you with this. Constantly comparing yourself to others is the death of peace. So many people who are on social media, for instance, or they're in a scary place, or something's changed, or there's uncertainty, look at other people who look like they have it all together. And they think, look at what happened to me. I'm less than, I'm not smart enough. I didn't do the right thing with my career. I would ask you to stop doing that. First of all, what you see about other people is not necessarily what they're really going through. Who was it who sent it? Wendy Mass. Be kind, for everyone you speak with is going through something you know nothing about. Oh, I love that. But it's time to stop comparing yourself to others. It's not helpful unless it inspires you. If it chronically makes you feel less than, stop doing it. That's just one tip. All right, my friends. So moving forward with courage and confidence. Change can be scary. We know that. We're human. It's the amygdala, that reptilian brain we have, that tells us that's the lion in the cave that's going to eat me. I get that. It's scary and confusing, but embracing and navigating change and strengthening yourself, closing the gaps, taking these steps can truly lead, and I will say will lead to thrilling directions, if you believe it can, if you have that mindset. So, acknowledging your emotions, reframing the challenge, taking intentional steps forward, you can turn this moment of uncertainty into an opportunity for reinvention and growth, if you believe you can. And don't forget, you don't have to do this alone. There's so many people who can help, and so many people who are in the same boat. You can have a community that supports each other, and that is so enlivening to do. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with this. First of all, what one of those 7 steps can you take a tiny action step in? Don't try to do all 7 tomorrow. And thinking about the 7 power gaps and the 7 brave pathways to career bliss, which one do you want to focus on now? Brave sight, how you see yourself. Brave speak, how you speak and communicate. Brave ask, I'm going to ask for what I want, even if it's for your kids to clean up their rooms and do their laundry. Nothing is too small. Brave connection, I'm going to reach out to more people, build a community, get a mentor, maybe a coaching buddy, right? Brave challenge, I'm no longer going to tolerate what is intolerable. Brave service, How can I be of service and be of use and spend my time in ways that fill me up more than I am now? And brave healing. What from the past or even recent past do I need to heal from? Just choose one and look at some of these. Oh, question time. Look at some of these resources. There it is. Click on all of these links. There's tons of free stuff. It's all there for you. Okay. I hope it was helpful, and I'm so excited to take some. Oh, thank you, Ying. I'm ready for questions.
Thanks, Kathy. I want to acknowledge we knew we were asking you to cover a lot in this hour, and so I understand if folks have to go, but we're good. Kathy and I can both stay on to answer your questions, so please feel free to put them in there. I want to point out Lisa had asked if you actually, Kathy, want to put up that last slide with all of the links on there. Lisa was
Yeah.
really interested in the free career path questionnaire that you had. I don't know if it's
Oh,
on this
there
slide.
it is. Where is it?
But my pledge is that along with,
Yeah.
you covered a lot. We're going to share your slide deck. We're going to share a recording with this with everybody. And I'll make sure to highlight, Lisa, that
Thank you.
career path questionnaire.
Jeff, it's right here. There's free assessments and there's like
Oh,
seven
right.
different ones, but you will find it there. And if
Perfect.
not, just link in with me, send me a message, whatever you want to do, and I'll send you the direct link if that's helpful. Good question. Thank you.
Just taking a look in the chat, just people chiming in with their thanks, and people
Oh,
saying that you did a great job, which I agree with, Kathy.
thank you,
I'll
Jeff.
ask to maybe break some ice here while people
Great.
think about the question they want to ask. Um,
Please.
You early on, I made a note and underlined trust. And I think that the word trust, you were talking about trust. And I think you were the person who first helped me understand that for a lot of folks, a major career transition or specifically a career loss, somebody who gets laid off, who gets fired can really, it's trauma, right? And then it's
Trauma.
totally fair to use that as a term. Can you go back and kind of review for folks that have had that? You talked about brave healing. What are the ways that somebody can really start to build back that trust in themselves
Oh, I
when
love
that
this
feels like
question.
this defining moment?
I love it. All right. So part of that trust is trust that the entire litany of how you're blaming yourself, the entire litany of shame, the entire litany of this is a disaster, I'll never recover from this. See, I'm not who I thought I was. So let me give an example. When I was laid off with 100 people after 9/11, you'd think I would have understood they were probably needing to cut salaries. I internalized that for 4 years. I felt like a loser. I felt like what happened, how, even though I had gotten a promotion and a raise the year before, I made myself a loser and wrong. And there was so much shame. And I will tell you, this is why I believe getting recommendations is so important. The very first recommendation I ever got on LinkedIn was from a young woman who was not in my division, but she said, and it's still there, something like, I didn't work for Kathy directly, but she was the kind of leader I aspired to be. I literally cried, Jeff. In that 4 sentence recommendation, she healed years of the shame that I had because I didn't feel I was a good leader and I was getting my rump kicked all the time. So, what I'm asking for you all, yes, you're not just going to be narcissistic and think you're perfect and there's nothing you need to do to change. But when you're in this time of trauma or difficulty, I want you to look at not how you blew it, not how you're less than, but what could this thing be giving you that you would never have understood before. So that's the trust. It's the trust that things are conspiring for your highest good, even though you don't see it. But it's also trust in yourself that you didn't necessarily blow it because you didn't see this coming. Again, you're not going to let yourself off the hook when you did do something that was cruel or sabotaging, or you lied and then you got caught on it and now you're out of a job. You're going to acknowledge that and you're going to look at why did I do that? But the trust is that there is something better for you out there that you are going to grow into than you at all recognize in this moment.
Thanks, Kathy. And you had mentioned at one point, you told a story about a client or somebody said, I've been, I've, I get interviews, but I never get the position. This person's asking a similar question. What would you say to someone who did all the brave things and left a toxic workplace full of narcissists, figured out a new path late in the career, but they're yet to find, quote unquote, the thing after a year and is losing some faith in this process? So much of what you talked about today, I think, applies, but where does this person get started? What's their
So
first
can I
step
ask
to?
a question about this? When we say I haven't yet found the thing, what that makes me wonder is it possible the thing that you think you want is actually not it? That you are what I call it's bloodying our heads against. Like for me, let me explain. Until I was laid off from corporate life, I didn't fully acknowledge I didn't want to work in corporate life anymore. So I would have been pursuing, in fact, I was pursuing, I was getting sexually harassed. It was a mess. I was pursuing other corporate jobs. I got a corporate offer. I didn't take it because it wasn't enough money. That was the wrong direction for me. Had I not been laid off, I wouldn't have known you don't want to work in corporate anymore. You want to run your own thing. So I would ask this individual, are we sure that I haven't found the thing is not the right process? Has there been a lot of exploration about possible different areas? Has there been an inspiration network that's sitting down with you saying, you can have a dinner party? Someone suggested this years ago with 5 friends who love you, and everyone's bringing a challenge, and you have dinner, maybe you open a bottle of wine, and then you go around the room talking about the challenge. And you might say to your friends, I am struggling so much because I really think I want to be an interior designer and I'm trying for that, but I'm not getting it. What is in the way? And maybe someone will say, you know that you hate working with one-on-one clients, don't you? Why do you think you want this? So could that possibly answer the question?
Mm,
Read it again, Jeff, for me one more time, would you?
what would you say to someone who did all the brave things, left a toxic workplace full of narcissists, figured out a new path late in career, but has yet to find the thing after a year? So it sounds like it's, somebody who left a position but hasn't been able to find that next thing and I
Yeah.
think in this specific case, it's really giving somebody the excitement, right? The joy,
Right. They
the
haven't found
happiness
what
that
they
we're
really,
missing.
really want. I
Yeah.
would say, and this is so not a plug, but I would say take the career path assessment, because it shows your whole career trajectory, what you loved, what you hated, what you never want to do again, and what you want to bring forward. It also shows some of the pivotal stuff that's happened in childhood. Sometimes when we don't find the thing, it's because we're scared to find the thing, because it requires risk. So there's a lot of reasons, or come for a session. I've seen a lot of I look at a lot of these career path assessments. 100,000 people have downloaded it, and sometimes I can see things you can't see. I
Mhm.
hope that's helpful.
Well, to that end, I want to call attention to the training course that you've got that's starting tomorrow.
Oh, thanks, Jeff.
I certainly, I know I would benefit from spending 8 weeks of hearing your thoughts on all of these things.
So
So,
kind.
Kathy, this is amazing as always. You've done so much for the BU community. I personally have just always loved hearing you speak, and getting the chance to work with you has been rewarding. So on behalf of everybody who's here today and the entire university, Kathy, thank you so much for what you
Oh,
do for
Jeff.
us.
Thank you so much for all that you do in helping the alumni community. I'm so thrilled and honored to be a part of it and to be with you all. Thank you for joining me. And thank you, Jeff. I so appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and some of you to some very different time zones. We're thrilled to have you engage
Thank
with
you.
us today, and I hope you all have a great day or a great evening wherever you might be. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.